It is time for us to start a new adventure over the next few weeks, and the story is going to be about this vehicle behind me. It's a Toyota Hilux that I've kitted out, and I've kitted out for the purpose of heading out into the middle of nowhere and going on adventures. When I mean adventures, I mean hitting the road to do some hunting. We're going to be going out to different farms and packing a whole lot of stuff with, and possibly camping out on those farms when we shoot. A lot of the places I film for my main channel are quite a long way off from where I live, and so the ability to actually take my house with me and actually stay out there and not have to worry about bothering the farmer and saying, hey, do you have a spare room for me to stay in, or having them organize a little flat to stay in or something. It's a huge load off my mind. Obviously the actual hunts and stuff will be on my other channel, but I also want to do some stuff on this channel. I want to be able to go out on 4x4 trails into the mountains, places where you can't normally go, and actually enjoy those places, particularly now that we have a pandemic that's pretty much ruined the past year in terms of international travel. I decided, I'm getting married in just over a month. Nicole and I want to be able to go and actually do stuff and not just sit in the house and rot, So I'm going to run through in a series of videos, starting with this video, which is all about the vehicle itself. We're going to be discussing what I've done to this vehicle, just some of the stuff I've learned along the way. Been a lot of interest on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube about this vehicle. So without further ado, let's get to it. So first few questions I know you're going to have are, why a pickup truck? Why a double cab? Why a Hilux? And there's so many reasons for going for this vehicle. Let's start off with the first question, and that is why a pickup truck? Well, plain and simple, a pickup truck is versatile. I owned a different pickup truck prior to this one. It was a 2006 Ford Ranger Montana, and I did a lot in it, and it was extremely versatile, and I couldn't see myself owning anything other than a pickup truck. And I ended up selling the Ranger because it was the most unreliable piece of rubbish I'd ever had, and it just brought me endless trouble. So that's, when we talk about why the Hilux in particular, we're going to talk about reliability and those things, but I really wanted a pickup truck. Of course, like a proper station wagon with off-road 4x4 capabilities could have also worked, especially now that I've put a canopy on it. It kind of takes away some of the versatility of a standard pickup truck with an open bin. But the pickup truck with a canopy just has so much space, and because it's a canopy, it gave me the freedom to do whatever I want. So I'm really glad I went with the truck. Why a double cab? Well, because this is not just an off-road vehicle. This is a human transporter. So I wanted to be able to use this as a family vehicle. When I've got kids one day, if I still own this vehicle, I want to be able to put them in the back seat safely and comfortably. The extra row of seats allows me to put stuff like cameras and rifles when I don't have space in the canopy, and actually lock them up and keep them safe and access them easily from the driver's seat. My previous truck was a super cab, which means it had like those suicide doors at the back. That kind of worked well for keeping rifles there, but there's no ways you would want to transport people in the back, so this was the logical choice. Also, I do a lot of long trips on the road where I'm not doing any off-road driving, and that's one of the reasons I went for like a Hilux as opposed to like let's say a Land Cruiser 79 series truck. The extra comfort of having something like this, where it feels like a road car when you're on the road and has a pretty decent fuel efficiency, that was also something that I wanted to take into consideration. Why a Hilux as opposed to a different brand? Well, I had a few options. The Toyota Hilux was obviously one of them. Ford Ranger, VW Amarok, and there are a number of others, Isuzu D-Max, Mitsubishi Triton. We don't get stuff like the Tacoma, the Tundra, the F250. We don't get those here, so I was kind of limited to these mid-sized trucks. But to be honest, I wouldn't want anything bigger. Your fuel efficiency goes out the door, so a mid-sized truck was perfect for me. Ranger, I had such a bad experience with my previous Ranger and with Ford in general when it came to just customer service, servicing, finding parts, and even just, I know from speaking to many people who've owned them and had issues with, for example, the 10-speed auto on a Ranger. It's known for having many issues. All the plastic bits and pieces inside, this just seemed a lot more solid to me. So it was just a peace of mind thing where it came to reliability. I want this vehicle to not let me down when it matters for most, and that's where Toyota really has, and all Japanese manufacturers in general have a head start over the rest. VW Amarok, I was very tempted to look at the Amarok, and it would have been fitting considering this property that we're on now, it's my family's farm. Back in the 80s, there was a very well-known Volkswagen ad that was filmed here. I'll put a little snippet in here, but it's a pretty cool piece of history there. But the Amarok, maybe not quite as rugged as the Hilux, and doesn't have that, low-range gearing. As an serious off-road vehicle, it's not quite there. If you're towing heavy loads, if you're driving around in the city, it's awesome and probably better than this, but Hilux was a bit more versatile in terms of being able to do serious off-road stuff. And then Isuzu D-Max and Mitsubishi Triton, it's just maybe not as much support for the brands here in South Africa, and not as many aftermarket parts available. If it was now in 2021 with the new variants, I may very well have gone with the new D-Max over this, because the new Hilux is over the top expensive and the new D-Max is really good, and to be able to save some money and put it into the aftermarket stuff would have been great. So if it was now, probably the D-Max, but as of last year, 2020, I think this was a pretty good choice. Okay, next question. Why the 2.8 diesel engine over the 4-litre petrol engine? I way prefer diesel. I kind of feel sorry for you guys in the US that don't have, where diesel is not really as available of an option. But the diesel's just that torque, low down the revs for just creeping up a hill or going slowly over stuff. That's really helpful. And then also just the engines last much longer, a lot more reliable. It's more fuel efficient. There's a whole lot of reasons. Nothing wrong with petrol, and petrol has its strengths as well, but I definitely wanted to go with the diesel. While the 2.8 over the 2.4, really there wasn't that much of a difference. I just knew I was going to be adding a lot of weight, so having that extra engine capacity was something that I thought was probably worth it. And then why the Legend 50 variant, which is like the top end Hilux over like the standard SRX, which is the lower version we get here in South Africa. Basically, it came down to the fact that what the extra features that it offered, I thought were worthwhile for the extra I was paying. So, for example, there are airbags in all kinds of different positions on the sides, in the back, and as a person carrier, where I know I might have kids in the back one day, or just carrying friends, or if there's ever a case where the vehicle rolls, having airbags on the sides. I didn't want to compromise on safety, so that was important. The leather interior is really nice. Now, for when I go on serious off-road trips, probably will put some seat covers on, but for driving around in the city and doing long distance trips to the Patriot shop in Cape Town and visiting Nicole's family in Durban, which is very far, it's like a full day's drive either way, comfort is important to me as well. So that was a big thing. And then obviously the Legend 50 includes things like, the tow bar is included with that. So as a package, that was the one I wanted to go for. And then this is a manual. and the whole manual versus automatic thing, they really do both have their strengths and weaknesses. And in hindsight, I would have been totally happy to go with the auto. It just came down to the fact that I'm used to the manual, so it's not a big deal for me to change gears all the time. It's great for doing like steep downhills and stuff because you can use your engine compression. And if I'd gone with an auto, I probably would have had to upgrade my brakes. So that's a good reason for me to have a manual. And also, it's cheaper. That's basically it. Came down to that, but maybe next time I'll get the auto. Now, over the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about everything inside here. Let me quickly give you a breakdown of how I'm going to structure these videos. There'll probably be like 6 or 7 videos. So this video, we're just talking about the vehicle and why I chose the Hilux. Next, we're going to talk about the canopy on the back and why I chose the Alu-cab canopy and just some of the things that the canopy offers. Third video, internal fittings inside the canopy and showing you exactly what I've done inside to make it super accessible and easy to use. Number 4, electrical. I'll run you through all the electrical installations and how I've set that up, because I've done some things that are quite unique. There's not many people doing some of the things I've done, at least in South Africa. And then number 5, suspension and tires. I learned some things the hard way and realized that it ended up being a lot more expensive than I wanted it, and I wish I'd known how important this was before I started with the build, so we'll run through that. And then number 6, bar work and roof racks. We'll talk about the front, the bull bar on the front. We'll talk about what I want to do with rock sliders and a rear bumper. And we'll talk about the front runner roof racks on top, because there's more than one, and why I've gone with 2 of them. And number 7, we're going to be talking about the awning and the tent. So yeah, just giving you my input on why I chose the specific awning and tent to have on top and running through that. If I have one piece of advice for you when it comes to your vehicle, as in the vehicle overall, not speaking about specific parts, because I have a lot of advice when it comes to the specific parts, which I'll leave for the other videos. Don't do anything to it until you have driven it quite a lot, because you will learn what you like about it. You'll learn what you don't like about it. You'll learn its strengths and weaknesses, and you'll figure out what you want to do with it. Thankfully, I put about 20,000 kilometers on the clock before I added anything. And those 20,000 kilometers, I was doing long road trips on the tar road. I was doing long trips on dirt road, just detours where I was just driving on a nice gravel road for long amounts of time. I was driving in thick snow, like snow that you're probably not supposed to drive on. I probably should have had like chains on my tires like you guys up in the far north do. I've done driving over big rocks where I've pretty much destroyed a lot of the parts and actually ended up having to change them. And I've done some riding on sand as well, and just learned how to use my own vehicle in the sand and learning about tire pressure, stuff like that. So I feel like by the time I got to 20,000 Ks, I'd done everything, and I had the background knowledge and experience that I needed to make some of those decisions. So that is the piece of advice that you can take from this video. But obviously your situation will be totally different to mine, so don't just copy and paste what I've done here. Go out and watch videos, spend time looking at what other people have done, speak to people. You'll get different contradicting pieces of advice, but at the end of the day, at least you can make an informed decision rather than a blind decision. And that's where we're going to end this one. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already, so you can see the follow-up videos. And I really look forward to sharing it with you, and of course sharing the many adventures that I'll be going on probably with Nicole over the next few months and years, exploring the heck out of South Africa and the surrounding countries. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.